Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Darrell Owens, and we're here for another episode of 101. This is the interview finale here in season 6, because next week, NFL season will start, and that means the power rankings are back for their 5th year. So very, very excited about that. But we're going to finish off the interview portion of our season the right way, when we bring in the legendary David Aldridge, who is the senior columnist for The Athletic, joining us. You've seen him a little bit of everywhere: ESPN, NBA TV, TNT. And for all those gamers out there, the 2K lovers, I think you've seen him a little bit, just a little bit on 2K. But we're excited to have DA with us today. And that episode 178 begins right now. One.
Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to 101 at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Don't stare too hard. We do have greatness in our presence. Once again, everybody, thank y'all for joining us for episode 178 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. And of course, if you don't know who this gentleman is by now, shame on you. With us today, ladies and gentlemen, the legendary David Aldridge, senior columnist at The Athletic. DA, how you doing today, brother?
Darrell, I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
It's absolute honor. And we like to start this episode, or any episode, the right way. And we like to start off with the check-in. All right, DA. With the check-in, we like to check in on you, your family, your friends. How's everything right now going with David Aldridge?
Well, I appreciate that. Things are going fine. Been at The Athletic. It'll be 7 years in October. So feel good about that relationship, and they've been very, very good to work with since I went there. Kids are fine, both in college. So feeling good about that. House is paid for, so we're all right. There's a lot of people who have a lot worse right now, so I can't complain about too much.
There you go. Look, like the kids are almost finished dueling out money for the kids' college fund there. And two at the same time.
One of them's just starting. The other one's finishing, so I have a little bit of leeway there, hopefully in the next couple of years.
You sound like me. My oldest is going into her sophomore year, and the other one is becoming a senior this year, so that'll be my problem next year.
right, exactly.
Well, let's start off with one question that I like to kind of bring up here, and I want to kind of find out where your passion of sports came from when you were 7, 8, 9-year-old DA. And you started to figure out the sports game. What made you fall in love with sports? Who made you fall in love with sports, and how did it all come about?
I mean, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I grew up when the football team was George Allen had become the coach, and that was the first time in forever that they were any good. And so that was my initial kind of immersion into sports, seeing them do well and make the playoffs a couple of times and get to the Super Bowl. I was 7 when they made the Super Bowl, so I didn't know what a cover 2 was. I just knew the team in burgundy and gold was the one I wanted to win, and they didn't win. That made me very upset. So, but yeah, throughout your young life, you play sports with your friends, you play sports on teams, and you gradually fall in love with it. Like, I wasn't very good playing anything, but I loved the competition and the camaraderie that I would see in sports teams. And so that was something that I always was interested in. You see how they bring a city together and a community together when they're doing well. I forgot that the Bullets, they were the Bullets then, won the NBA title in 1978 when I was 13. And that was huge. That was a massive amount of happiness in the city when they won, and they actually had the victory parade go to RFK Stadium. So it was a big deal for that, and seeing how happy everybody was, and the fact that those guys like Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes, who have been at it for so long, finally got a championship. It made me feel, you feel proud of your city, right? And so those were the two, the football team and the Bullets were the two main catalysts for me, I think, growing up. And then, when you do this, you have an opportunity to do this for a living, it kind of like locks you into sports. And I'm just always fascinated by how a group of people who come from different backgrounds, different religions, different races, different belief systems about everything, how do they try to come together and put all of that aside for a common goal of winning? It's hard to do. It's very hard to do, and it doesn't matter what sport it is. It's very hard to get a group of people to agree on anything, especially these days, right? And so to watch a team kind of come together is something that I'm always fascinated by.
Well, maybe just one day, the former team formerly known as the Bullets can get back in that round. We can only ask for so much. Maybe the OKC route will finally come to fruition in 2032. But we're just hoping for good stuff here on that end. Now, DA, I want to know where, that moment that you said, okay, like you said, you're like, I knew maybe I wasn't the greatest athlete, but when did you know going into the media field was what you wanted to do? How'd you start that off, and how do we get to where we are right now in your career?
Right. Well, it started in high school. I had an English professor who was my homeroom teacher that really, really saw something in me before I saw something in myself, and told me, you really should write for the school paper. You're a good writer. You should think about that as something you could do. And so I did write some for the school paper, but it's high school paper. It didn't come out that much, really. So yeah, I mean, it was that was the beginning. Then I went to American University in DC. I worked at the school paper for 4 years. I became editor-in-chief my junior year. And as I've said many times before, I liked being a journalist when I started at AU, and I knew when I left, I had to be a journalist, like what I wanted to do for a living. It really just changed everything, because I really thought I was going to be like a high school history teacher. That's what I really thought I was going to do. Because I love history. I've always loved history. But, the opportunities came in journalism. And in those days, newspapers were still the dominant medium, and having an opportunity to intern and then work at the Washington Post, really kind of set me on the path toward being a journalist for a living. And that was I was incredibly fortunate that I got those opportunities at a very young age. And that kind of set me on the path towards doing this for a living. After that, I kind of knew this is what I was going to do for.
That's an awesome thing. I mean, and you've done so much in your career. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I remember as a kid, the first moment that I saw you was on ESPN. That was big for me. And there were so many people that influenced me, growing up, and me wanting to be in this industry in some form of the fashion. And you were one of those people. I remember every other, week seeing you on ESPN, and then eventually, TNT and all that stuff. And it just was like, man, this is cool. So the first time that I got a chance to see you like in person, I was like, whoa, y'all see who that is right there? That's David Aldridge. So then that's been like 7-8 years ago. But when I saw you that first time, I was blown away. But it was like having that moment to be able to meet someone like yourself who, you didn't, look at me any weird way. You embraced me, and it made me feel really good, as in my initial stages in this industry. So that's something I've always appreciated. But it was just so cool seeing you at that time frame. I was like, oh my God, that's DA, baby. Like right there in the flesh. So that was so huge for me growing up. So I definitely just wanted to give you that much love and appreciation on that end.
Appreciate it.
You said something before we moved to the Commanders. You said you might have been a history teacher. what was your favorite subject? I'm a big history guy, and my history nerdum is U.S. presidential history. I just love learning about U.S. presidents. So what's your go-to in history?
Oh, I don't know, man. There's so many things. I don't have like a favorite. I like all history. I like learning about Greek history. I like learning about African American history. The history of this country, obviously. I can't say that I'm all that familiar with European history. I spent a lot of time on that. But obviously this country has a very, very interesting history. So I'm always fascinated by what people did then when they were faced with very difficult decisions. It's easy to say now in hindsight, after the crisis has passed, that you should have done this. Like, I just always wonder what people did when they were under the gun, sometimes literally under the gun, and had to make decisions, life and death decisions about what they were going to do for themselves and their families and for the country. And so I always love reading about challenging times and the way that African American people, especially Black people, persevered in this country. My dad used to always say, we're the survivors, son. We're the ones that survived the boat ride. We're the ones that survived slavery.
Come on now.
Come on now. We survived. I don't know how we survived, but we did.
We did. We're here.
So I'm always fascinated by that. But, just history in general. I mean, something that I don't know anything about, I'm always fascinated by. I have a very, very good friend of mine who wrote a really good book a couple of years ago about kind of the history of drug interdiction in the United States. Why are some drugs okay to use and some aren't? You know what I mean? And the history of drugs to relieve pain is one thing that I just didn't think about. Like, people smoke opium because they were in pain. They didn't smoke it to get high. It helped them. It was a pain tolerance. We didn't have aspirin. We didn't have anesthesia.
Had to have something.
Broke your leg, you were just in trouble, So people had to alleviate the pain. So stuff like that. I love learning about things like that.
That's awesome. Let's get into a team that we, get to see a lot. The Washington Commanders.
Yep.
It has been it's been a very interesting couple of years, especially since Harris and the crew have taken over. And I know as yourself, who've been a Washington fan for a very, very long time, outside of the hard work that you do at the Athletic, but like, when you seen this team over the last couple of years, you see where they kind of stand right now. A lot of expectations coming into the season. Terry's still there, but not there per se. What are your thoughts about this team overall heading into the 2025-2026 season? What do you want to see from this team? What do you think are the big expectations for the Commanders?
Well, I mean, I think their expectations are high, as they should be. They have, one of the best young quarterbacks in the league in Jaden Daniels. It opens up all kinds of different pathways for them to win. As you know, football is always about the quarterback. It's not about any other position. If you have a quarterback, you have a chance. If you don't have a chance. It's pretty simple, actually. And they have one now, finally, after 30 years, they have one. So the question is, how do you surround that person with enough talent on both sides, all three sides, football, on the offensive side, defensive side, and on special teams, because they all interact, to allow him to lift the team where I think we all believe it's possible he can lift the team. But he needs help, right? I mean, he needs help. And so they made a lot of moves in the offseason, especially in the offensive line, to try to improve that and give him more protection, give him more opportunity to run, help the run game as well, which will help him because he won't be in as many third and fourth downs where he has to kind of create something out of nothing to
make magic
convert.
happen.
So, they did that. The defensive side is still kind of a work in progress. I'm not quite sure where they are defensively, but they don't have to be great defensively if they can just be not bad defensively. And I think, again, a lot depends on the defensive side on Lattimore and if he can hold up. And he's still pretty good. Is he elite? I don't know if he's elite anymore, but he's still pretty good. And Amos has a chance to be pretty good too, and that allows him to put Sainristil in the slot, which is probably his best position. I think they improved internally and externally at safety, even though they lost Chin. I think Harris is more versatile. I think Owens can play and probably will play some this year. So I think the back is pretty good. I'm not sure about the linebackers yet. I mean, Bobby had a great season last year. You're asking a lot for somebody in his 30s to continue to play that way. And so a guy like Jordan McGee's got to be ready to kind of help out there. So all of that to say, we'll see what happens with McLaurin. But I think that the key is keeping Daniels healthy. If you keep him healthy, you have a chance to go very far. Will they go as far as the championship game again? I don't know. I mean, you have to have a lot of luck, as well as a lot of skill to get to a championship game or a Super Bowl. You have to stay healthy at the key positions. But they have a chance. They have a legitimate chance because of Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I'm intrigued for this season. Obviously, last year, having that last place schedule does help out just a smidget. This time around, some tougher matchups. You got the AFC West. That'll be fun to kind of see. They got the NFC North, which was the best division in football. Well, record-wise last year, best division in football with 3 teams making the playoffs. So it'll be very interesting, in my opinion, if they can just. People were like, if they win 10 games this year, that's a bad thing. To me, I don't think that's a bad thing with the way the schedule looks. If they can still find a way to make the playoffs, I think that they could, can make things happen. They continue the growth as it goes along. Now, let's go to my favorite segment. We're going to the DA version of Quick One. All right, DA, are you ready for your version of Quick Ones here on 101?
Sure. Fire away.
That goes. All right. First one of 5. Your favorite sports moment.
Covering the Dream Team in 1992 in Spain at the Olympics. I lobbied for that. I told my boss, because I was covering the Bullets then, I was the beat writer, and I said, I want to cover the Olympics. I want to cover that team. And he gave me the opportunity. And it was everything I thought it would be. It was amazing. It was amazing. They were amazing. It was a joy covering them from the practices they had in San Diego, the tournament, they had pre-Olympic tournament in Portland, then going over to Spain and covering them through the Olympics. It was remarkable. It's the best team I've ever seen. Obviously, they're incredible.
Were you at I don't know if that was close practice. Were you at the legendary game with the college players, or that was just
no, that was not an open practice.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no media allowed in that one. So
yeah, that could have been a disaster.
Yes, that would have been nice to have been at that.
Oh man. Story. Next one we got worst sports moment.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, it's always hard. It's only happened once or twice, but it's always hard when somebody dies at an event. Unfortunately, when I was very young, I covered a high school football game where a young man died after being tackled. I mean, that's just, there's no handbook for that. Like there's nothing that prepares you for that, maybe ever. And certainly not when I was 20 years old. That's just not something you're ready for. Like you don't know how to deal with it. You do the absolute best you can, but that's very difficult.
Tough, man. That's tough.
It doesn't happen very often, but it has happened. So it's very tough.
I couldn't even imagine. Next one, favorite athlete of all time.
Oh wow. You mean that I've covered, or just generally?
It just, generally it could be, you can feel like you covered. You're just your personal favorite person that you grew up loving. Your choice.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think. Like that's a good question. There's so many. It's hard not to say Magic or Michael. Because they were just so great at what and so dominant in their era. when I was a kid, Arthur Ashe was a big hero of mine, obviously. Not because I was a tennis player. I never played any competitive tennis, but just knowing there was somebody that looked like me that could win Wimbledon, it was just a big deal. Like, that it's like with Tiger in a generation later, when young kids see somebody that look like them, winning, dominating golf. I mean, it gives you ideas, it gives you possibilities and hopes. And so that was a big deal. Yeah, I mean, Lenny Bias was unbelievable. Even though I never covered him, but obviously being from DC, we all knew how great Lenny was and how great he was going to be. Yeah, I mean, got people like that come to mind when I think about it. Art Monk, when was getting his jersey retired, was somebody that I always thought, if I was ever good enough to be a pro athlete, I want to be like him. Like somebody that just plays great. They don't talk about it. They're not bragging about it. They just show up every week and kill you, and then they go home. That's the kind of guys I like. So someone like Art Monk was always somebody that I looked up to when I was young and thought, wow, that's pretty cool the way he does it.
Okay. All right. So last one here. We're going to do the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So you are on a cruise ship. You're directing a cruise ship, but you get a chance to have 4 artists, dead or alive, that you can have entertain the people on the cruise ship. Who are those artists that you will bring on the ship?
Okay. Prince is number 1.
I like that. Prince. I like that.
Sade is number 2, probably. I mean, I love Bill Withers, but I can understand that may be a niche for the cruise ship. I'm trying to rock the place out, right? I don't know. That's tough. 2 more.
Yeah, 2 more. You got Prince and Sade. You got a pretty solid lineup so far.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to well, I'm a big McCoy Tyner fan. I don't know if you know who McCoy Tyner was. He was one of the great jazz pianists in the history of the world.
Okay.
And I just will listen to anything he plays to this day. He was great. I get one more. Barbara Streisand. She can sing.
Yeah, I like that. I like the variety that you got.
That woman can sing. She and Sade will be pretty good together. So
everybody's gonna be happy. Everybody's gonna be happy on the ship because you got a nice variety going on there. You got Sade gonna smooth it out. You got jazz going on there. Okay, yeah, we in there. I like that. All right, everybody. That was the DA version of Quick Ones here on 101. And now we're gonna finish this episode the right way with Leave Your Legacy. Once again, DA, man, we appreciate you coming on and joining us for this interview finale here in season 6. So we truly, truly appreciate you coming on. But we want you to leave your legacy. When it's all said and done, when you're sitting on the beach, I don't like to tell people I don't like to kill people off. We want you to be able to enjoy a little bit of the legacy there. So when you're sitting on the beach, chilling, maybe drinking a pina colada or the drink of your choice, and you've had a chance to kind of just sit back and relax. What type of legacy do you want to have left in the sports world?
It's hard for me to talk about myself, but I can only do this the way I know how to do it. And all I wanted to do was follow in the footsteps of the people that paved the way for me. Sam Lacey and Wendell Smith and people like that. Back in the old days, guys that had to literally sit on the top of dugouts because they weren't allowed in the press box. Wow. They were the ones that had the real they had the real adversity to deal with. I had some, but nothing like that, right? So people like that are people that I look up to, and I just want to honor the way they covered sports by trying to cover sports in a way that would make young people, if not proud of me, at least understand that I'm not doing this for self-aggrandizement. I'm not doing this to call attention to myself. I want to I want young kids to be able to watch me and say, hey, maybe I could do that, because you can, right? You just need somebody to believe in you. I had people that believed in me when I was just starting in the business and gave me an opportunity. So, yeah, I think that's just it. Just doing the work. I just am a big believer in doing the work. I just don't like calling attention to myself. I don't think that's optimal. I don't think that's how you should do this job.
Right.
I think doing the job is doing the job. It's not doing the job and saying, look at me while I'm doing the job. Like that's just not, it's not how I roll. I know that's how a lot of people do, and they're very successful at it.
Right.
God bless them. But it's not what I feel comfortable doing. So I just I just think the body of work over my career hopefully will speak for itself.
That's a good deal.
I think it will.
That's a good deal, because I agree. Well, there's one young man here that definitely looked at your career and said, I think I can jump into that realm. I mean, I can tell you now, the countless hours of watching sports media growing up made me want to do play-by-play announcing. Like that's my dream. Like I want to be a play-by-play, which I've been able to kind of do here for ESPN Plus and stuff here in the last year or so. So
that's great.
Like being able to live that dream for me has been like, yeah, this is all right.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. You should follow your dreams. I mean, Tiffany Green's one of my mentees. I'm very proud of her. Then she had the same dream 10, 12 years ago. She wanted to be a play-by-play. That's what she wanted to do. And she worked her way, work. She's a grinder. I like grinders. She didn't call attention to herself. She just did the work, and now she does play-by-play for ESPN. So I'm so proud of her. So it's there. It's
gotta go get it, right?
You gotta go work for it. You can't. Nobody's gonna give you anything. You gotta go work and earn it. So
definitely gotta go fight for it. Well, once again, DA, we appreciate you coming on. For everybody, this has been the interview finale. Next week, we have our first power ranking of the year. So we get to kick off the power ranking session of season 6. And look, every year y'all laugh at me. You say, you don't know what you're talking about. And you know what? I may not know what I'm talking about, but it's my power ranking. So I'm gonna do the best I can to try to at least make it enjoyable for you guys out there. And maybe you listen to it, maybe you don't. I've been off sometimes. I've been criticized, but hey, that's the fun of it. Once again, DA, man, look, we appreciate you, brother, for coming on and joining us for the interview finale here, one-on-one, man. And for those who don't know, can you shout out your social media so people can follow the greatness that is David Aldridge?
Yeah, everything is David Aldridge DC. It's on The Bird and on Blue Sky and on Threads, and I think it's IG. I think it's my IG.
It's IG.
Sure. Yeah. So,
It's so many social media accounts nowadays. Yeah. Like, I saw a couple of them say, I don't think I can even do that one. There's too many. Well, once again, everybody, this has been episode 178 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the amazing Bowie TV. Once again, everybody, we will see you all next week. Once again, David, appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming on, and we will see you wonderful folks next week for the Power Rankings.
Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof.